Once upon a time, near the dark forest, there lived a young girl named Little Red Riding Hood. Lived in a small cottage with her overprotective mother.
Hang on a minute. Do we have to start it like this?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's not as if nobody knows Little Red Riding Hood. It's a classic.
Well, where would you start?
Well, I'm not sure entirely, but we've got to make it attractive to a modern audience. I mean, by this time, people are going to be tired of this stuff.
No, I was getting to that. If you just let me finish the pitch.
Okay.
Anyway, she lives in this small cottage on the edge of a dangerous forest, which could be interpreted as a inner city or a slum. And she lives on the outskirts of this city with her overprotective mother.
Did her parents have a divorce? My parents had a divorce.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
So what happened to her dad?
Her dad wasn't even in the original story. It's not relevant.
Why not?
It's just not. The story is about the fact that her mother is trying to protect her innocence. Doesn't want her one and only daughter going out and being corrupted. Red confronts her mother about it and tells her, "I'm grown up now. Teach me about the world." Now I'm not sure if it's because Little Red came from an unstable family or because her mum can't cope with looking after her. But the point is, she sends Red off to stay with Granny to teach her about the ways of the world. So, before Little Red Riding Hood leaves the safety of her mother's house, her mother gives her one piece of advice: stay on the road. She's got to stay on the road. The forest is full of dangerous animals, bears and stuff. But if she stays on the road, then they won't bother her.
Why won't they bother her? They bother me.
Because she's on the road. There are travellers and coppers on the road. They're not going to attack Red in the middle of a busy street. And it's at this point in the story, as Little Red is walking down the road, that she meets the wolf.
So, why does Red go off the road?
I didn't say she went off the road.
But you just said she meets the wolf. You said the wolf wouldn't bother her if she stayed on the road.
Of course she meets the wolf. That's the whole point of the story. He's a metaphor for muggers and rapists. He's a dangerous animal, hence a wolf.
So she talks to him because she doesn't know any better?
Exactly. Red doesn't know the difference. She's led such a sheltered life. If her mother had just sat down and taught her about the ways of the world, none of this would have happened. Anyway, where were we?
She was about to meet the wolf.
Oh yeah, and she just thinks, oh, he's a traveller. He's not too bad. He's a nice guy. She doesn't know he could be a rapist.
What? So she doesn't realise she's talking to a wolf just because he's dressed as a guy?
I've already explained this. He's not actually a wolf. It's a metaphor.
Hey, jeez. I was only saying, there are considerable plot holes in the story.
Look, people know the story of Little Red Riding Hood, so it's okay.
Alright, fine. So, why doesn't he just attack her there? We could cut out the bit at Granny's house and make this a short film.
Because they're both on the road, he can't attack her while he's on the middle of the road. And anyway, if we end it in the middle, that defies the basic laws of narrative.
Fair enough. Wait, hang on a minute. How does the wolf even know where Granny's house is?
They were talking earlier. She could have told him. She doesn't know any better. Her mother didn't even tell her not to talk to strangers.
Well, yeah. She's a pretty rubbish mother, come to think of it. Sending her own kid out into the forest by herself.
Yeah, so the wolf goes to Granny's house, eats her, and puts on her clothes.
I know Red doesn't know much, but you'd think she'd be able to tell the difference between a granny and a wolf.
Look, it's a metaphor. I have been over this. It doesn't have to make perfect sense.
Wait, so what's the metaphor for a cross-dressing wolf?
Look, would you shut up and let me finish?
Sorry.
Little Red goes to Granny's house just after dark and is told by a very deep voice, "Come in, dear. Warm yourself by the fire." Now, Little Red's a bit worried about Granny. She's got a bit of a beard and her voice is all husky.
Look, I know Red is young, but I'm starting to think there's something seriously wrong with this girl.
Look, Red just thinks that's how old people are. She's lived such a sheltered life, she doesn't know any different. And anyway, she says, "Grandma, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with," replies the wolf. "Grandma, what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with," replies the wolf. Now it's at this point, I think Red's starting to get a bit suspicious.
You think?
And Red says, "Grandma, what big teeth you have." And that one is where it really gets the fun.
Oh, right, so that's when That's when the woodcutter shows up with his axe, right?
Woodcut?
Yeah, it was in one of those to make sure the kids
Sounds a bit too cliche. It's supposed to be a pretty realistic take on the story. It doesn't have to have a happy ending.
So it's not marketed at kids then?
Yeah, it's marketed at kids, but, kids these days, running around after dark, beating up OAPs. They're awful. Little Red getting raped and murdered isn't going to traumatise them. If anything, it's going to entertain them. It will show them something different they haven't seen before.
Well, like, not every story has a happy ending.
Exactly. That someone isn't going to come in and save your ass right before the credits roll.
I'm not sure about this.
About what?
The whole story.
What's wrong with it? It's a perfectly good story.
Carl, people aren't going to sympathise with a main character that can't tell the difference between a grandma and a wolf.
Alright, I admit it's a little far-fetched.
Stop.
What about Goldilocks? 3 Little Pigs?
Enough with the fairy tale, man.
Okay. Hansel and Gretel. It's a story about poverty and the importance of the child healthcare system.
No!